one final thing I want to show in this section is a topic about input. So far we've learned how to get outputs from the machine. So basically we can write programs and we can basically do some computations and calculate values and look at stuff, and then we get something back right from the program. So the program returns an output which we can actually make use of. But sometimes, or quite often, I would say, in many programs, you would want them to be interactive, right? So you would want the user to input something to the system, which is then evaluated by the system, and then the system would return an output, right? So we would want to have a way to provide the program with some values and data that it can process and then do stuff with and return something valuable to us. So there is something called input in Python, which is quite a simple name, and what it does is that it actually takes the input, right? So it can read a string from the console or from the terminal, and then we can do things with this string basically. So we could, for example, parse it to an integer and calculate things and then return them. So this is kind of unlocking the ability to create interactive programs using just the console. So let's just try to see what happens. So if I use the input, I can also provide some message to it, some prompt message, and then what the user has input, or what I provide in the terminal, will then be stored in this variable called username, and then we will print this out. So we take the input and then we print out the output, right? So let's run this and see what happens. So we see that it asks me to enter a username. I say user123, and then I see that it says your username is user123. Quite nice. Let's see if I do something else now. So I will write a more sophisticated program now. So now I am creating an infinite while loop, right? So this will run infinitely until something inside of it breaks it. So if you write while true, you need to have a break somewhere inside of the while, yeah. So the if statement, which will bring us to the break statement, would be that if the input that we provide is code, so we're asking the user to write code, if it matches code exactly with a capital C and small letters, lowercase letters, then we will print where to passed. Otherwise, we will print wrong input, try again. So let's type this instead. Let's run this. So it will first ask me for the username, and then it will, so I'll say user123, and then it asks me to write code. If I say something like this, it will say no, that's not correct. If I write code with, that's not correct either. If I write code, then I pass the test. So this means that we can actually interact with the program, which makes things much more fun, in my opinion. And this would be another example of taking an input, but now we actually want to take an integer, right? So this is quite interesting, because what's happening here is that it's trying to parse. So we're using the int constructor, which is taking some value, which is in this case a string, right? And a string could be anything. It doesn't have to be, a string could be something that can be parsed to an integer. So if it's like 5 only, then that could be parsed into an integer, then we could make a computation. But if you pass something that is not parsable to an integer, like passing user or something like that, like a word, then that would not be parsed to an integer, and it would actually crash the application. So just to show you another concept which is quite interesting in programming, and even though it's really early to talk about this, but I think it is still important to learn this really early in the programming journey, to understand that things can go wrong quite often in programs. So we shouldn't expect that the user will do the right thing always, right? So we're expecting an integer or something that can be parsed into an integer here, but we can't expect the user to be providing this input. So and if we don't take that into consideration, then the application will crash. So let's just prove this point now. So I'll type my username, user123, I will write code, I will pass the test, and now I'm asked to make an addition, right? 3 plus 5 should be 8. So if I pass something like, let's pass 10, it says wrong answer, which is fine. At least nothing crashed. But what I want to show now is, let me type this again, username, code, and now I will just say blah blah. And blah blah will not be parsable to an integer, right? Because it's not something that can be parsed. So if I type this, then we see that I actually broke the application. So I crashed the application and it says that there's a value error and there's an invalid literal, blah blah, and this cannot be parsed into a base 10 integer, so it basically fails. So to fix this, we should probably use something called a try catch. So a try catch is something that prevents an exception from happening. So if the exception occurs, it prevents the application from crashing. And you can handle this error in some way. So either you would ask for a new input. In this case, I'm not doing that. I'm just printing that it has to be numeric, and then we just stop the program. But I could, for example, ask for a new input, and I could, for example, use a while loop to keep asking until I get the right answer, right? That would be one way to do it. But for now, I'm just printing that the answer has to be numeric. But the important thing here is that the try catch will prevent the crash. So I will actually comment this out because I don't need this. I don't want this code to be executed. This is much safer code. So let me run this. So I'll provide a username, user123. I will write code, and then I will say test. And now it just says answer has to be numeric, and it stops. So it doesn't crash, which is what I wanted to achieve with the try catch. For the sake of sanity checking, let me just try to provide something correctly. And let's just check that the program actually works. 8. Then it says good job. So this was an introduction to user inputs and how we can create interactive programs. This is the basic step of this, and in future videos the aim is to create videos where we can build something more interesting, a more interactive program. It could be a game, it could be many things that you could actually create using interactivity in this sense. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.